So Martin is marketing director at weeteq with over 25 years of experience. Previously at Honeywell, Dialogues, Cisco, Subio, and STAC. And Tanner is the founder and CEO with decades of successful technology innovation and disruptive product introduction experience himself. And I'll turn it over to you, Martin, to lead us off.
Thanks, Chris. Welcome, everyone. We're a deep tech startup based here in Glasgow, in Scotland. So we're going to be talking through our own take on the tinyML approach, which we classify as circuit-level machine learning. So we'll just wander through the slides and bring you up to speed. So what are we doing? So this is a pioneering new approach to control system circuit design and analysis, built for a data-driven world. So on the right-hand side, a bit of a provocative statement, I suppose, around the fact that if we consider modern control and power electronics design theory, it's actually not so modern at all when we consider some of the optimization techniques that are currently in use really predate some of these innovations that we see in front of us here. So our thoughts are that we're well and truly overdue an update. So just the position where we sit in the whole PdM anomaly detection and ML space, we'll just whiz you through some of the levels, really, I suppose. So when we think about predictive maintenance and anomaly detection, and certainly this unsupervised learning, which is a key part of our solution, very much solidified, the domain of the cloud. And I think these days it's very much the domain of the edge as well. So we're grateful for the developments of people in the tinyML community, as well as others, to advance what we do at the edge in terms of predictive maintenance and unsupervised machine learning. And this is where things get really interesting because, as we've just heard from our colleague at NXP and some others in the tinyML community, we're starting to see predictive maintenance and anomaly detection at the circuit level, so in specifically at the microcontroller level. So again, down to AI and ML software platforms being available, etc. And this is kind of where things stop at the moment. So we haven't seen that take up of organizations cracking this unsupervised learning ML piece at that microcontroller level. And this is where weeteq step in. So we've managed to achieve this unsupervised learning at the microcontroller level. And we do that through our innovation in supplementary control, which we commercialize as weeteq Ultra Edge. So building the case for supplementary control, we've got a simplified version, I suppose, of that supplementary controller there at the bottom. We do go into a more complex version of this in a few slides' time. But I suppose, we have to ask ourselves why supplementary control instead of just redesigning that controller architecture, and why not just simply use the sensor and data edge analytics in terms of being able to get the data and the value that we require. And really this is down to the constraints in terms of the power, data and time constraints of delivering solutions in both of those scenarios. So,
and I guess at that point, it's important to look at, if you go to the next slide, where did we start? We developed this technology actually addressing the switching power supplies in smartphones. So as such, that's one system where the power terminal and time constraints are very strict. The requirement for the efficiency, in terms of power, you're talking about a very low terminal profile and a battery limited, essentially energy available. And typically with more than 10 megahertz switching frequency, we had to really develop this technology to meet these time constraints. So if you look at, I've included some of the original data where we were improving the duty cycles and the data that is available. And as you could imagine, there's just no way you could be able to create an edge solution with a time series in this 100 nanosecond that would also meet the power and thermal requirements. So with that, if we go in, what we did is take that that solution and then applied it to a industrial motor controller. And when what we are doing is putting in an FPGA platform with the Ultra Edge and a motor controller contained within the FPGA, where we would demonstrate how this very light touch actually can be very effective interfacing with the sensors as well as the drivers in creating this solution where we can improve the operations as well as actually get the predictive maintenance data that is required. And in fact, there is enough space in the FPGA to be able to include the motor and the sensor models so that you could actually do the emulation with the entire system.
So this is what we're building for our pilot projects, and we'll talk about that in a moment. In terms of the deliverables, in terms of what the technology looks like, we have a kind of embedded suite, if you like, of technologies. So we've got embedded Ultra Edge, we've got dynamic digital shadow, which is the link between the circuit level data and enterprise data, and then we've got circuits and modules, and finally semiconductor IP. So those first two are available as a retrofit solution for existing technologies, and then the latter two, including dynamic digital shadow, are available for next generation design. So in a nutshell, what does it do? We have this novel access to this existing circuit level, deep operational data. So what really sets us apart is this ability with supplementary control to have this unsupervised asset performance improvement at that circuit level as well. We've got an ultra low power consumption as well. And then because of the data model and the setup that we've got, we're generating 100 times less data. So we're eliminating data latency even on low bandwidth networks. And when we're speaking to partners in the hardware space and the component space, they're really seeing this as an opportunity to drive this software and service revenue for the long term with their own customers. So looking at how this impacts how we design projects moving forward, I'm not going to go into this in too much detail, but when we only have access to generic manufacturer's information and generic information about the products which we're delivering, we miss an opportunity to reduce the amount of margin that we're building into our solutions, because when we are able to take training data from a circuit level in that design process, we're able to effectively reduce the operating margin that we include within our prospects, within our projects. So what this means is it means that we have a far more precise and a far more performant solutions. So we'll take a look at this in motor control. This is what we've been talking about really. So on the left-hand side, we've got this traditional approach, and on the right-hand side, we've got the Ultra Edge approach, getting into the control loop and circuit level. And Tan will just explain some of the results we're seeing.
And here, the core of our supplementary control is able to improve the system response and at the same time be able to detect in terms of the anomaly. What we have here on the left side is a controller with a non-optimal configuration, and this is not atypical. You could have it's showing a torque transient, and during a torque transient with a non-optimal configuration, you would have the power losses increase significantly, and it could be up to 3 times as shown here. And with that non-optimal control, the Ultra Edge is able to correct the response, but able to also detect that there is an anomaly. And this is shown on the right. And in addition to changing the improving the currents, it's actually we're improving the transient response of the torque, as well as we're reducing the speed, the error of the speed response. And this is because we're addressing the correction of the system response with the supplementary control.
Perfect. So a whistle-stop tour of Ultra Edge and our supplementary control application. We are running pilot projects in Q1 of next year. These are a mix of sort of collaboration teams and single organizations. So there's an opportunity for those interested to get first to market with circuit level machine learning, and there's partnerships opportunities as well that are available with our existing contacts. And just to summarize, I'm not going to read that out, but really this is applied to any and every closed loop control system. So at the moment, we talked about industrial smart manufacturing. Very much it could lend itself to domestic applications like we heard of with the previous talk from NXP. Also scale up to sophisticated power and utilities networks and automotive as well. So thank you for that. This is our team and our contact details, and we would welcome you getting in contact so we can discuss things further. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thank you both. Great presentation.